Hello and welcome back. Today I thought we could do a Sezane spring collection review. So we're going to be reviewing not only the items that I've actually ordered and sharing my full unfiltered thoughts, but also I'm going to be sharing with you some of my other picks from the brand and why in the second half of this video. Now, I will have everything linked down below, and I am planning a corresponding blog post where I share with you all of the item measurements as well in case that is helpful. So you'll find that in the description box. So I feel like we have to dive right in with what I personally think is one of the most underrated items that I've come across on their website in a very, very long time. It is the Amber cardigan, and I was so excited when I saw this because, as you'll know, I tend to avoid any of the knitwear that has a polyamide component to it, as I've not had the best experience. And when I spied that this was a super kid mohair and merino wool blend, that's right, no polyamide in sight, I knew I had to order it, and it's far exceeded my expectations. The actual yarn is so fluffy and soft. It is really, really cozy and not itchy at all. That's the main question I've gotten about this. It's a collarless design and it doesn't have any fastenings down the front. So that's just one thing to note, that you could easily use a few brooches if you did want to secure it shut rather than wearing it open and relaxed. It does have those beautiful blouson style sleeves that Sezane is known for when it comes to their knitwear. And it's a little bit of an open design, so you can definitely see what you've got on underneath as well. I feel like this works really nicely when worn with something in a tonal element or alternatively over a white tank or tee. I think the thing that is most confusing about this is the sizing, because there isn't really much explanation. There are 3 sizes available: T1, T2, and T3. Now, I ordered the T2, which I'm assuming is either a medium or maybe it's a small medium or a medium large. It really feels quite open, and without actually trying on T1 or T3 sizes, I can't say for sure. But I would say if you're an extra small to small, the T1 would be fine, and I would have been fine ordering that. But I do often like to size up one in my knitwear just so it's a little bit more of a slouchy fit. But hopefully the cutaways will give you a good sense of how this fits with me. But truly one of my favorite Sezane finds to date. I think it goes up there hand in hand with the Gabbano jacket, which is, I think, one of my favorite ever purchases from the brand. Okay, next item is the Josiana Dress, and this is a sweet little linen mini dress. And actually, you're gonna notice there's a real theme here, these quite kind of earthy, warm colors, so autumnal, and I feel like Sezane does this color palette very well. This is a sweet linen mini dress and it has these spaghetti straps. There's actually a bit of slack to the straps, so you can easily adjust it and make it shorter if you need. And you'll be able to see on me that this does actually come down quite low. So if you're petite, you definitely need to get this altered, but it'll be a very easy alteration, one that you could also do at home if you've got a sewing kit. I would say that this is a little bit more of a generous fit. So I opted for my usual size 8 or US 4, and I find that I've got a little bit of room around the bust area. Nothing major. I don't think I would size down, just out of fear that for me, maybe it might be a little bit too tight. But if you're the same size as me and busty, I would recommend going with your usual size, especially so that you can accommodate for a strapless bra if you need to use one. Now, I personally think that this is very chic, easy to dress up, dress down, depending on the styling, and you can easily take this through to the transitional seasons as well as summer. I mean, this is something I see as being the perfect kind of summer vacation dress. My only bugbear is that the lining only covers the bust. It doesn't go all the way down to the hemline, and that's really what I would have hoped to see, especially for the price point. But overall, it's one that I definitely love, and actually it looks really nice paired with this cardigan that I shared with you before. We'll do an accessory, and again, another favorite, the Libby Babies. Now, I bought the Paula Babies last year after seeing so many people talk about them. I kind of felt like I wanted an alternative to my About Ariane ballerinas, which sadly, due to my feet changing, no longer quite fit me the way that they used to. And I found that because of the straps across the foot and also the higher block heel, which is really chunky, I just didn't really reach for them as often as I thought I would. They created too many visual breaks in my outfit, and I think it also was not quite aligned to my style of dressing. When I saw these, I thought that they might be a nice alternative that actually reads as much more of a flat. They have a little bit of lift, but nothing major. I Absolutely adore these. If you have wide feet, they will work for you. Despite being patent, they're actually quite wide cut across the foot, though they'll work for those with regular or narrow feet too. You can easily adjust the strap at the back of the heel. I have not gotten a single blister wearing these. I actually find these very, very comfortable, and I've worn them a lot considering they're often one of those shoes that I reach for and just throw on in the morning because of how easy they are to just slip on. I'm actually low-key hoping that they'll bring these out in another color. Now, I'm a European 40, though I am noticing I'm starting to opt for a European 40.5 sometimes, but these I got on my usual AU9, US 9. They fit perfectly. If you've been thinking about these or been on the fence, hopefully this gives you a bit of a sense as to what these might be like. Now, I did actually buy another pair of patent shoes, and I have a real thing when it comes to sandals. I'm always looking out for some because I tend to wear them about 9 months of the year here in Sydney. And I did order the Josepha low sandals in the patent mahogany. Now, these are really beautiful, and I found them to be actually pretty comfortable as well, similar to the Libby Babies. But I did think that they sort of stuck out a little bit too much across the broadest part of my foot, emphasizing just how wide they were. And I thought if it's not a 100% love, then I'm not going to keep it. Those did also fit true to size, so I ordered them in a US 9 as well. So let's talk about a pair of trousers, and again, I think another hidden gem. Now, Sezane do really beautiful trousers in general, though a lot of them you may find are a bit of a poly blend, and I tend to kind of keep an eye out for their natural fiber styles. These are called the Sezane trouser, and they're in a walnut color, so you can kind of see it's got a little bit of a coolness to it, especially when compared to the warmth of the Amber cardigan. These are essentially cotton chino, and I'd say they're more of a mid-rise rather than a high-rise. I do kind of wish they came up ever so slightly more, but it was something that I was happy to overlook. They're a really thick, sturdy fabric that feels quite kind of plush on the hand, almost like a brush suede effect. If you've purchased the Martin crop trousers, you're going to find that these are actually a bit roomier across the hips. So I had the Martin crop trousers, and I ended up selling them just because they pulled a little bit across my hips, and I found them ever so slightly too snug. Maybe I should have sized up one. These do not do that at all. So I went with my usual size AU8, US 4, and they fit perfectly. The thing I actually like about these is that they do have a cuff, and you can unpick this, which is what I've done, which ends up letting the trouser down so they become a full length pant. So if you are taller and you find that the crop length is just too short for you, then these will be great as well, and then they may end up being just a true crop on you rather than an ultra crop. And it kind of just gives you the option to change up the vibe of the trouser just with a simple fold. So I, for that reason, really, really like these, and I actually think these would be a great option for the office if you work in more of a casual environment, just paired with a little button down or something like that. I did end up getting another pair of trousers, the Le Crop, which this is my second time buying these. I had them in the black, and I will say I don't recommend the black because they pick up a lot of lint, and I just found it too high maintenance for me. But this is the coffee color, and actually it's a perfect match for the cardigan, as you can see, a really nice kind of warm caramelly brown. And I did size up in these. I went to the AU10 or the US 6, and I think that was definitely the right choice. While they are a little bit relaxed, or they've got a bit of give at the waist, they feel very, very comfortable. And it's nothing that a belt can't fix to secure them nice on the waist. These are a true high rise in my opinion, and I definitely think one of Sezane's most underrated pairs of jeans. They have that lovely wide leg fit. They do these in so many different colors in addition to different kind of washes or prints, so you've kind of got a little bit of something for everyone. But yeah, I just thought that this would be a nice way to kind of build out on my usual suspects for my denim collection. Okay, we have another accessory here, and I do think that some of Sezane's jewelry pieces are massively underrated. This is the Danae necklace, and it's this lovely resin chunky beaded necklace. These are all made by hand, and you can see just from the fact that there are knots in between each bead, which helps to really give the necklace a little bit of structure. I like the fact that each of the beads has a marbled effect to them, so they're not a uniform color. It just adds a little bit of visual interest, and this comes in a few different colorways as well, including a beautiful green and a really lovely kind of lavender. The clasp on it is really sturdy and robust, and yeah, I mean, I really couldn't be happier. If you've bought any of their other resin accessories like the hair ties or some of their other kind of resin earrings, it's the exact same material. The final item I bought is actually something I'm currently mulling over. These are the Gloria Low sandals, and I've got them in the light python. Now, I have been wanting to buy these sandals for the longest time. I originally considered buying them in the gold, but I just kept putting it off. And part of it is because it breaks one of my shopping rules, which is to not buy sandals or shoes that have a strap around the ankle, because I just find they cut off my already shorter legs for my height. But I think sometimes you just kind of have to try the thing on to see for sure. And I have to say, I do really like these, but the ankle strap is just the thing. Now, I'm wondering what you'll think about this, but I'm toying with the idea of taking these to my cobbler to see if he can actually just shorten the strap so I can wear them as more of a slingback style, effectively getting rid of the ankle strap, so that extra slack that would usually wrap around the foot. I feel like this might be possible, and I'm hoping it will be, because if so, I'd be really happy with these. I will say, at least on the python leather, that it is quite a firm leather. It feels like it might give a little bit, but not a lot. Definitely better suited for those who have a regular or narrow foot. I did go for my usual size US 9, and otherwise they fit very true to size. So I'm curious to know what you all think. I feel like sometimes, we need to make a few adjustments to the items we bring into our wardrobe. That's why I always recommend having a little bit of money aside for alterations. But I will try and show you a little cutaway, or at least a photo of how they would look like that. And I do feel like it is possible. I've seen that they've got a very, very similar design on the website. They're called the Iris Low sandals, but the thing that stopped me from purchasing those instead of these ones is the fact that they have the studs around the strap, and it just feels like a little bit too much embellishment. But I do love that these have a bit of a vintage vibe to them. I mean, they're fun. Tell me what you think in the comments section, as I'm curious to know your thoughts. So moving on to part 2, I do just want to run through some of the other items on the Sezane website that have caught my eye, which I think look absolutely beautiful. I'm just going to share my sort of hot takes on each one. I've got these all on my phone, so I'm just going to use that to reference these. But the first one is the Lupe blouse, which I spied just came out on the Wednesday. This has a bit of a peekaboo effect with the inlaid lace bands at the front, which I think adds a subtle sexiness that French brands know how to do so well. I think the little lace trim around the edging is really pretty, in addition to the mother of pearl buttons, which kind of really elevates this and makes it feel quite special. Okay, so I was so tempted to buy this next one, the Leoran blouse. This is a cotton smock top, which has the lace trim with scalloped edging. And I just think that this is stunning. It's in a broderie in the white, and then the blue has this beautiful print to it. I thought that this might be a little bit too ruffly for my usual taste, but I did really, really appreciate this piece, and I love the tie-back detail at the back as well. There's a very similar one, which is the Reese blouse, and this one feels a little bit less frilly because it doesn't quite have that capped sleeve detail of the Leoran blouse. So I think if you like that design, but it was the frills that were sort of stopping you from actually pulling the trigger, then maybe the Reese blouse might be nice. And in the chambray, it feels like a really nice kind of classic color to add into your wardrobe. Oh, the Luce top. Every single time I look at this, I wish I had a reason to add it into my wardrobe. I especially love the acajou or acahu color, kind of this really beautiful plummy berry hue. It comes in black as well, but it's kind of that bead detail at the neck. It adds this lovely sense of adornment, which feels a bit unexpected. It's in that Eco Vero lensing fabric that Sezane do every single season in some of their core pieces, which is very, very comfortable to wear, really soft and stretchy, and it washes well too. This also comes in a dress version, which I also think is very striking. Let's move on to dresses, and the Fabiola dress, the first one I had to mention. Lovely navy kind of column style dress with the buttons down the front. So you can kind of create a little bit of a peekaboo moment, revealing a bit more of the legs, a little bit more of the chest if you wish. This would be a great cover up to wear to the beach, especially if you're thinking about heading on an extended holiday, you've got some trips coming up, but also just styled nicely with a denim jacket for the weekend. The only reason why I haven't added this one to cart is because I know these types of dresses never look great on me, and they always tend to emphasize how low down my hips are in proportion to my height. Now the Rama dress I think is so stunning. Comes in this large check pattern with the blue flowers, and I do believe I saw this in an all white as well, but it sold out almost instantly because I didn't actually manage to add my size to cart. I really like the neckline, how it is quite square. This is going to be pretty flattering on most people, especially because you do have that option to really cinch in the waist and create this hourglass sort of figure that is very feminine. The buttons allow you to, again, customize the way that you style it so you can reveal a little bit more skin. Just really gorgeous. Okay, so knitwear, you know all of my picks and recommendations are going to be 100% natural fibers. I thought the Elaine cardigan was particularly sweet with the little embroidered flowers all over. The fact that it is a rib knit as well, and then it has that stunning lace trim around the edge. I would buy this if it didn't have the flowers embroidered on it, just as I feel like that leans a little bit too saccharine for my style, but overall, this is something that I really, really like. And I noticed that Sezane have got a few short sleeve knits in cotton, which I think are a really lovely way to continue to wear that knitted texture in the warmer months. So the other one that is very similar to this is the Kyle cardigan. And obviously you have the option to wear these on open if you prefer, but I like the styling that they've done here where you've got a few of the top buttons undone and also a few of the bottom ones as well. And the fact that this is kind of that fancy knit, it almost looks a bit like a pointelle, really, really chic. Okay, jackets and coats. I wanted to highlight the Will jacket for a moment, as this is really one of those core staples from the brand, and while I think it is overhyped to some degree, I really like it in the suede. I think if you want it to look very on trend, then you should be sizing up 2 sizes at a minimum to get more of that slouchy, relaxed fit, as this is quite kind of a slim fit. So if you want it to fit a bit like the barn jacket I have on right now, then yeah, you definitely want to go up a couple sizes. But in the suede, really luxurious, and it comes in this beautiful mossy green in addition to a lovely classic camel brown. If you were into the barn jacket look, then you probably want to check out the Hector coat. I think that this is an update on the Gabbano, and I have seen them using this a bit in their marketing, so probably one that they expect to see pop off. This is a cotton barn jacket with the corduroy collar, very, very classic kind of a design. I like the little patch pockets on the front. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with something like this. It really is one of those options that would fill that lightweight, casual, transitional season jacket gap in a wardrobe. The jeans and trousers in this green and white polka dot sold out almost immediately. I really did miss out on adding these ones to cart. They kind of look like the polka dot version or the polka dot sister to the Martin crop and the gingham. Again, a great composition. These are a cotton and linen blend, nice high rise. I'd be curious to see if this particular pair ends up coming back in stock. If they do, you're probably going to see them in my wardrobe. I think it's a really interesting green as well, not kind of the typical green you would often see. And the final item that I wanted to mention is a pair of shoes, the Lorena Mules. And I just spied these today, so I'm thinking they must be a new design. They come in gold at the moment, though I suspect they'll probably add more colors in the future. I like the low block heel. They don't look like they'd be too high, which is kind of what you want, especially for a mule design. It's going to make them easier to walk in. They have these thick tubular shaped straps across the foot with kind of a knotted detail in the center, almost like a bow. These just look impossibly chic, and I feel like they'd instantly dial up a casual outfit. So that wraps up the Sezane Spring Collection review. I hope that you found it helpful, and also the corresponding blog post really useful as well. Thank you so much for spending some of your day with me. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and also to subscribe if you're new and you'd like to see more from me. I share a lot of brand reviews, styling advice, and how to remix your wardrobe. If you've got any other recommendations from Sezane Spring Edit, then please do drop those down in the comments below, as I would love to go and check those pieces out. And thank you so much for spending some of your day with me. I really appreciate you, and I will see you next week with a brand new video. See you soon. Bye.